What is up, everyone? I'm Ryan from Fireside Yankees, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about, how Carlos Correa could potentially end up back in the free agent market, which could potentially get the Yankees involved. Now, this isn't source. This isn't me saying the Yankees are definitely going to get involved, or that the Yankees definitely need to get involved. More so a situation where, the Mets and Correa, they hit a snag kind of in their negotiations. They added a contract agreed to, but, Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic with us in a story with Dan Hayes, MLB on Twitter, also of The Athletic, as he writes about the Twins. They released an article kind of discussing where Correa's surgically repaired lower right leg could potentially jeopardize that deal, as the Mets have raised concerns about it. Rightfully so. When medicals come up, when you're making a 12-year investment, it really does matter, your medicals. Whereas you're not really going to not that you're not going to care as much, but you're kind of aware of things when you take a risk with a different player. Medicals are very important with these type of contracts, and for Correa to have failed a second medicals, or not failed per se, but to have hit a snag in his medicals for a second time. We saw it with the Giants. It kind of looked like the Giants were just getting cold feet, and that maybe they just pulled out the contract because they had cold feet. But no, now when you look at it happening to the Mets as well, it kind of confirms the idea that Correa's medicals are really not that good, and that he's not an investment that you want to make long term. And this is kind of the big question here. Is Correa going to look for a one-year deal to kind of reset his market? Is he looking for just to renegotiate and get that long-term deal? If he's looking for a long-term deal, obviously the Yankees are not going to get involved. Not only are they not going to get involved in any long-term contract after signing Judge, after signing Rodon, but they're not going to get involved in a long-term deal, especially with a guy who just had two snags with medicals with two separate organizations. So quite frankly, I don't see that happening. If it's a one-year deal, there's a possibility. Anything is possible in terms of free agency. And, the Yankees definitely can maneuver around contracts. There's a way for these things to get done. Do I think Hal Steinbrenner approves of it? Not necessarily, but do I think there's a path, there's a way that this can get done? Absolutely. Ultimately, the way I view it is, Carlos Correa could hit the market and be a one-year guy, and that should entice any organization because it's Carlos Correa and he's a generational talent. He is a guy who has put up, 140 WRC plus last year, 133 in 2021. He's, got a career 130 WRC plus. He's one of the best hitters in baseball, and the Yankees can use offense. Offense, you can't never not have enough offense. But quite frankly, I don't view this as a situation that's likely for the Yankees. I don't view this as something that the Yankees are going to explore heavily if it's not a one-year deal. They have the eternal option that they've been banking on. Remember, the Yankees didn't just miss out on Correa once. They missed out on him twice, and the reason was because their internal talent. There was a laundry list of elite shortstops, guys who could potentially push themselves into Hall of Fame candidacy, who the Yankees missed out on. You have the likes of Corey Seager, Xander Bogaerts, Trey Turner, Carlos Correa, Francisco Lindor. They chose not to sign guys like Dansby Swanson or Marcus Semien. These are players that could have definitely helped the Yankees at the shortstop position, but the Yankees have decided to stay internal. I don't think that changes necessarily. Even last year, Correa, got what was considered basically a one-year deal, and the Yankees didn't dabble in that. Instead, they went out and got Donaldson and IKF. And whether that's because the Yankees felt like they could have gotten more value out of Donaldson and IKF because they're playing those are two players instead of one that you're spending that much money on, that's a different conversation. That's a different discussion. Obviously, we don't know the in and outs of the negotiations with the Yankees. We don't know the in and outs of the motivation of Hal Steinbrenner and Brian Cashman. But I imagine that there was at least some interest on the Yankees end. But, with the medicals coming out as they are, there are a lot of reasons that Carlos Correa is still on the market. There are a lot of reasons that Carlos Correa might be entering the market for the second time in 2 weeks. You know what I mean? There's a reason for all of this. Ultimately, the Yankees aren't a team that's going to spend long-term money, right? I want to hammer that point because I want to really hammer the point that the Yankees are not going to invest 10 years in Carlos Correa. They're not investing 10 years in anyone else outside of Aaron Judge, who they have already invested 10 years in for this offseason. I don't even think they'll do that for next offseason. I really think, it's a 2 to 3 years from now, they'll be open to investing in another long-term contract. But for now, there are 3 big-time contracts with the Cole, Judge, and Stanton deals. As those Stanton and Cole deals, Cole and Stanton, I believe, are here for the next 6 years. As we get into the final 3 years of the contract, perhaps the Yankees look again to commit long-term money. They'll have internal talent that they might want to extend. The likes of Anthony Volpe. What if he becomes a star player? Even if he's just a pretty good player, the Yankees would like to keep him around, especially since that's you can have a cost-controlled player for the first 6 years, and then after that, if you get them a team-friendly extension sometime during arbitration, you can really put yourself in a great position financially long-term. So I do think the Yankees, I don't think this changes the Yankees' plans, but it is interesting to think about. It is interesting to talk about. Ultimately, the Yankees are in a position where they kind of can do a lot of different things, right? There are a lot of ways to get creative with this offseason. I still think left field is a bigger priority for the team right now. But you just kind of figure out left field if you were able to bring in a guy like Carlos Correa. I don't think it's realistic. I don't think it's something that's going to happen. I will verify that. I think the Yankees would try if it's a 1-year deal. I think the Yankees should try if it's a 1-year deal, but ultimately I don't think that ends up happening. So, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Carlos Correa, the whole situation, but not just, whether he'll sign a 1-year deal or not, or whether the Yankees should be involved if there's a 1-year deal. But the entire situation in general, I'm a relatively young baseball fan. So it's kind of my first time looking at a situation where a guy fails 2 medicals with 2 organizations and has a snag with both of them. So, obviously this is kind of unprecedented territory in recent memory. But ultimately it'll make for at least an interesting story for free agency as to where Carlos Correa is going to officially end up, because we've seen it twice. He's agreed to 2 different contracts and hasn't signed either of them officially. So it'll be really interesting to see how the Yankees go from there. Again, internal talent exists for the Yankees. They have 3 shortstop options in terms of just their young guys. You got guys like Cabrera, Peraza, Volpe, who can start on opening day. Obviously, IKF is there, but I don't imagine IKF's going to be in that conversation. I think he gets shipped out. Donaldson's and LeMahieu are going to be the third baseman. I think it ends up being LeMahieu as a starter. And quite frankly, I think that Donaldson contract, if they were able to somehow move off of it, this would make it more realistic, but not necessarily. But not exactly, because the Yankees can't move off that contract right now. There are not a lot of teams looking to trade Josh Donaldson or trade for Josh Donaldson. But with that being said, let me know what you guys think. Appreciate your guys' support throughout the new year. Have a great Christmas. Happy holidays to you and your families. Stay safe. It is freezing cold in the East. I cannot stand the East. I cannot stand the cold in terms of, the weather right now. The cold front's hitting hard. So stay safe, stay warm, and enjoy your holidays. Thank you guys for your continued support throughout the 2022 season. We've grown a lot, and that's because of you guys. Make sure to check us out at Fireside Yankees on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, and of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you guys can check out Empire Sports Media for all your New York sports content. 2023 is going to be a big year for Fireside Yankees and for the company. If you're a fan of any New York sports teams, we've got you guys covered with content, whether it's Fireside Giants, Fireside Knicks, Fireside Jets, we've got you guys. So thank you guys again for your continued support. We appreciate everything, and I appreciate you guys tuning in every day for our episodes. But with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Ryan out.